Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, dear friends. I am continuing with recitation of chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. This is the book from which I am reading. This is the book called Bhagavad Gita as it is, and the translation is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So as we know, December is Bhagavad Gita Jayanti month, and by that what we mean is this is the time of the year when Lord Krishna gave the teachings, which is also called Gita, to Arjun. Arjun is one of the 5 brothers who are called Pandavas. So far we have covered chapter 1, chapter 2, and today we'll cover the chapter 3 recitation in Sanskrit with English translation. I'm not giving a class on Bhagavad Gita, so just let's read together the Sanskrit shlokas with a translation which is in brief, a high level message, what is contained in these verses, and then we'll be able to understand and relate when in detail the classes are explained by Jiva Tattvadas Prabhu. So first chapter was about observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That's where Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay that what are you observing? Please narrate to me what is happening on both sides. And then second chapter was like contents of entire Gita summarized. Here Arjun, after he had spoken about his dilemma, why he doesn't want to fight. In chapter 1 he had spoken about that, and he continued talking about his confusion in chapter 2, and Krishna reminded him of his Kshatriya duty, that why he should perform his duty. He gave him the reasons that how he should use his intelligence and never give up performing his occupational duty, but he should do it in perfect consciousness. And Krishna also gave very wonderful examples of tortoise and how rivers flow into an ocean. How tortoise pulls his limbs inside, like that we should control our senses, and how rivers, they flow into the deep grave ocean, like that we should be steady in our life, and we should discharge our duties. Now we are coming to chapter 3. It's called Karma Yoga, and in this chapter Krishna is going to impart to Arjun the teachings on how we should perform our actions, because everybody should do their work. Nobody should give up their work, or neither should anyone imitate other people's work. But there is a difference. A person who acts in Krishna consciousness versus a person who otherwise into material activities, the difference is identified in this chapter, as we will see in these verses. But most important of all, Lord Krishna has identified to Arjun how he can perform his duties or actions and not get entangled or attached to the results of those activities, because if he does it for the pleasure of Krishna, his actions are in Krishna consciousness. So without much delay, let's start the recitation. First we will offer the prayers. I've shared the link. I shared 2 links in the description. One is the link for the chapter. For those of you who don't have this book, please go to that link and click on Gita, and you will come to the book for chapter 3. And the other link is for the introductory prayers I'm going to recite right now. So dear friends, please join me. Namo Vishnu Pradaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। डियर फ्रेंड्स, आप सभी का अभिनंदन है। शिवेश चौधरी, बपी मिश्रा, गौरव शर्मा, मधुबन भवसार, हरे कृष्णा, लता गंगवानी, सुशील कुमार, मनोज गोयल, सुनील मोनी, सीमांता, पलाश गोस्वामी, ललित सागर, गिरधारे, मनोजीत, हरे कृष्णा, नितेश, विजय शर्मा, बिंदु अयाल गहिरे, ऋतुजा सिंह, जडेजा, शुभम, पूजा पटेल, नलिनी गुप्ता, सोनी, बिंदु आर्या, हरे कृष्णा, वेलकम डियर फ्रेंड्स। गोपाल कृष्णा, शिल्पा प्रमनायक, शेख, लोपा, सूर्या, संजय, जलंधर, कनी भाई, एकता, राजू, प्रसंत, I'm very happy to see you all, those of you who are giving some time for the recitation of Gita. Let me quickly read the summary of chapter 3. And here it goes. Everyone must engage in some sort of activity in this material world, but actions can either bind one to this world or liberate one from it. By acting for the pleasure of Supreme without selfish motives, one can be liberated from the law of karma, action and reaction, and attain transcendental knowledge of the self and the Supreme. So this was from the summary of the whole chapter. Now we will start reciting the verses for this chapter in Sanskrit. Hare Krishna. Text 1. Arjunuvacha Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. Translation. Arjun said, O Janardan, O Keshav, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? So dear friends, we have like 42 verses in this chapter, and it should take around 30 minutes to 45 minutes to quickly browse through this chapter. And I can tell you, after we go through these verses, we will all have a real clear-cut understanding how we need to perform our action or duties. At least we can make an attempt, so that when we do something for ourselves or for others, we can do it in a consciousness or mood, so that we don't become attached to the result of those activities. Because it is when we get very attached to the results, which is also called fruitive activities, attachment to fruitive activities, that is where we go through several emotions, or we get anarthas in our heart, which is the prime reason of grief or lamentation or miseries coming through mind. So my dear friends, let's be attentive to these verses. Let's see what Bhagwan is saying to Arjun. Text 2. व्यामिश्रणेव वाक्येन बुद्धिं मोहयसीव मे तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयोऽहमाप्नुयाम्. So first Arjuna asked Krishna that why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare? Because Krishna gave him all the knowledge in chapter 2, right? How to be a person of steady intelligence, how to be in perfect consciousness. And he also told Arjun that fight, perform your duty. And Arjun is still a little confused and he wants to know, why Krishna, why? Why do you want me to be engaged in this ghastly warfare? And clearly Arjun is still feeling bewildered. He's saying that his intelligence is bewildered by Krishna's ambiguous instructions. I looked up in dictionary. Actually, sometimes when we are not clear about meaning of certain words, we should definitely look up dictionary. So here there is a word called equivocal. Arjun is saying, I am bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Equivocal means ambiguous. It's not clear. So he is asking Krishna, please tell me. And Arjun is asking for his benefit, but it's actually for the benefit of humanity. Text 3. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Loke asmin dvividha nishtha Pura prokta mayangha Jnana yogana sankhyanam Karma yogina yoginam. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjun, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation and others by devotional service. So Bhagwan ne chapter 2 में two classes of men identify किए हैं. एक transcendentalists होते हैं, right? And the other people are like, they're speculators. So now Krishna has started to answer Arjun's questions because Arjun is clearly bewildered and he's asking for help. So whenever we are in a state of confusion in our lives, we may be in distress, grief, or just out of curiosity, or we may be just praying. We can just close our eyes and offer prayers to the Lord of the heart, Bhagwan, and we can ask for clarifications or any other instructions we are seeking. We can come to Bhagwan for everything directly. Text 4. Na karmanam anarbhan nashkarmyam purushosnute na cha sanyasna deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Some words, Sanskrit words, are really big and difficult to pronounce, but if we make an attempt, Krishna will, in our heart, the super soul with our heart, he will certainly help us. So the translation for the verse is, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one get perfection. So Krishna is answering to Arjun that neither can you stop working, nor can you come to renunciation to get perfection, just like that. So he's going to give him the knowledge how his actions need to be performed. Text 5. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit karyate avasha karma sarva prakriti jargune. Dear friends, I just read the verse 5 of chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita as it is. I have shared the link there. Those of you who don't have the book, please go ahead and click on the link and follow me as we are going through these verses in Sanskrit, followed by English translation. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Text 6. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudatma mithyachara sa uchyate. So now what did Bhagwan say? One who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certain deludes himself and is called a pretender. So here, characteristic of a pretender, Bhagwan is telling. Why? Because he wants us to be genuine. He wants us to be sincere in our intentions. He wants Arjun to be sincere in his intention to fight, and he's telling him everything. He's giving him teaching so that Arjun's bewilderment can be sorted out and he can become steady in his intelligence to perform his duties as a Kshatriya. Text 7. Yastva indriyani manasa niyamyarbhate arjuna karmendriya karma yogam asakta sa vishishyate. Translation. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So dear friends, at this point, I really want to tell something really important. First of all, most of us have heard the word karma. And now in Bhagavad Gita, we are hearing a term called Karma Yoga. So, you know what has Prabhupada said about difference between Karma and Karma Yoga? Prabhupada said, our founder Acharya, who has written commentary on this book, translations, he says, karma overcoated with devotional service is called Karma Yoga. Basically, karma is the regulated action for the enjoyment of the fruit by the performer. So when we perform certain actions with expectations that we are getting certain results and I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to be benefited from it, they are indeed karmas. Everybody knows that. Then what is Karma Yoga? When we do such deeds or actions with the intention, okay, to please Krishna, that is how it is said, it's coated with devotional service, it's coated with bhakti, then it becomes Karma Yoga, and there is no harm in that. Why? Because now we will soon see, as we go through the verses in this chapter, you know, we are working towards the goal of our life in that way. We are progressing to having a relationship with Krishna. We are progressing towards having mercy of Bhagwan. We are progressing towards ultimate peace and happiness if our actions are in the category of Karma Yoga. That is the reason it's very important to understand this chapter. Okay, so we are clear that karma is the fruitive action, and basically everybody is working in this world to get some result, right? So, you know, everybody is trying to do some business or go to a job, earn money and make a life, make a living, okay? However, as soon as we engage our actions or our occupational duty and we engage the results of our earnings in serving Krishna too, then we are engaging in Karma Yoga. So let's get back to the chapter. We are coming to verse number 8. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayo hi akarmana Sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhyod karmana. Translation: perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. So Lord Krishna is going to now talk about, really he's going to convey this teaching that one should never give up doing their work, thinking that, oh, let me stop doing any work, let me not be attached with anything, let me just focus on meditating this and that, and become like a total vairagya. Krishna is going to explain we should never give up our occupational duty, just that we have to dovetail all our activities around pleasing Krishna. Text number 9. Yagyat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Translation: work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in the material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. So we see here we are learning, Bhagwan is telling Arjun to perform his Kshatriya duty in the right consciousness, so there is no bondage as a result of performance of his prescribed duties. Text number 10. Sahayagya praja srishtva purovacha prajapati anena pravishyadvam eshastoishta kamadhuk. Translation: in the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yajna or sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Text 11. Dear friends who are just joining, Manoj, Lata, Sushil, we are on verse number 11 of chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. The link I have shared, or you can follow Bhagavad Gita. This is Gita Jayanti month. We are reading Bhagavad Gita, all 18 chapters. Today we are on chapter 3. The translation of text 11. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Text 12. Ishtan bhogani vo deva dasyante yagya bhavita tar dattan pradayebhyo yo bhunkate stena swasa. Translation: in charge of various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, will supply all necessities to you, but he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So what is Bhagwan telling Arjun? That we need to have an attitude of gratitude. That's what being also mentioned here. So we are getting all the gifts from all the designated demigods, and he who enjoys, a person who enjoys, who takes and doesn't offer anything back, basically lacks the attitude of gratitude, is certainly a thief. Text 13. Yagya shishta shina santo muchyante sarvakil vishe bhunjate te tvagam papa ye pachantyatma karanat. Translation: the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Otherwise, who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So you see how Bhagwan just explained to Arjun, he gave him this teaching that when one receives all these gifts from different demigods, we should appropriately perform different sacrifices, or we should have an attitude of gratitude. And in further verses, we'll also explain what these sacrifices are. So don't worry about it, friends. These are not elaborate sacrifices in this age of Kali Yuga. it is highly recommended that chanting of the holy name is the best sacrifice, because in this Kali age times, people have short lives, they have less intelligence, they are quarrelsome, they don't trust anybody. Basically, it is not a time where people have very sharp memories or they can live for thousands and millions of years. So we cannot do anything elaborate and perfectly. However, there is one good thing in this current age. It is chanting of the holy name. Because Krishna is non-different from his names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here in this verse, at a high level, I'm telling you that I'm just giving you a high level view, a high level message in these verses. Krishna has told Arjun that one should not be thief by accepting and not having something to offer or give back or having an attitude of gratitude, because then that's a life of sins. But the devotees of the Lord, they are freed from all kinds of sins, because they are first of all offering the food which has been first offered to the Lord. And what happens when we eat prasad? Our consciousness changes. We are in Krishna consciousness, okay? So other people who just prepare food for their own enjoyment without having any kind of thankful or gratitude attitude first to thank the Lord, that thank you very much for this beautiful prasad. We are highly grateful that we receive this in our life and all the gifts. Because when we do that, we have that kind of attitude that removes the sins from whatever we are receiving in prasada. Text 14. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhava yagnad bhavati parjanyo yagya karma samudbhava. Translation: all living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of sacrifice, yagya, and yagya is born of the prescribed duties. Karma, now I am reading verse number 15. Karma brahmodvam viddhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagne pratishtitam. Translation: regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. So it is our acts of sacrifice, right? That is what is the recommended way of performing duties. We should never forget Krishna. We should never forget that we have to have at least an attitude of gratitude for all the gifts we receive. And Krishna is explaining this in the transcendental knowledge he is giving to Arjun. Text 16. Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati yatihaya aghayurindriya ramo mogham partha sajivati. My dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. So Krishna is giving an idea कि Vedas में the procedures are given how we should live this life. Okay, if we want to engage in fruitive activities, right, then what should be the mindset, what should be the consciousness, what should be our activities, how we should make an offering or do sacrifices, so that from the results of our activities, how we can make sacrifices so that we don't incur sins, so that we are not thieves, so that we don't engage in sinful way of living. Text 17. Yastva atmaratirev syad Atma triptascha manava Atmani eva cha santushtas Tasya karyam na vidyate. Translation: but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So either we can engage in occupational duties with the proper mindset, with proper consciousness, not just using all the results or fruits of our activities for our enjoyment, right? We have two ways. Either we can live materialistic life or we can live a Krishna conscious life. And it's not very difficult to live a Krishna conscious life. We can still perform our duties, but we can also make an offering to the Lord with the results of our activities. Because Krishna has explained to Arjun here that one who totally enjoys the results of his activities is indeed a thief. He lacks the attitude of gratitude. We need to be thankful to the demigods. We need to be thankful to our forefathers. We need to be thankful to everyone who shares or gives us these gifts. Either we can live as per Vedas by engaging in fruitive activities but not forgetting to make the sacrifices, or we can live a Krishna conscious way of life. But instructions are available. For each of these lifestyles, instructions are available. And here in this verse, Krishna has said, one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is of self-realization. We know that Gita is a book of self-realization. Here, by self-realization, it means one who understands his position as a soul, his relationship with Krishna, his relationship with God, and what is the goal of life. So, one who takes pleasure in self and is self-realized in this manner is fully satisfied, because for him there is no duty. Why there is no duty? Because he is already serving Krishna and Vaishnavas. Text 18. Naiva tasya krinanartho na kartenaha kasyana na chasya sarvabhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashraya. Translation: a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Text 19. Tasmat sakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma parmapnoti purushaha. Translation: therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one gains the supreme. So Krishna has told Arjuna in this verse that if he performs his Kshatriya duty without being attached to the results, see, he's getting attached, Arjuna is attached to the results. That's what causing him such grief and lamentation. So Krishna is telling him, first of all, that all souls are eternal. You are not the body, you are the soul. So soul never dies. Then he tells how living entities can be perform their work with steady intelligence without getting bewildered. And now he's telling him in this chapter how living entities can perform their karmas with proper attitude, with proper consciousness, without getting attached to the fruits of activities, but performing your duties. And this is the way one can attain the supreme. By attaining the supreme, Krishna also mentioned in chapter 2, this is how you can attain the kingdom of God, attaining the supreme, being in Krishna consciousness, being in perfect consciousness. These are all similar phrases. Basically what they mean is, in that situation, one can have protection of the Lord. One can be fearless. My dear friends, please try to understand, this is the transcendental knowledge we are reading. And in this transcendental knowledge, in all different ways, Bhagwan is giving teachings to Arjun for the benefit of humanity, and by kindness and compassion of Srila Prabhupada, who has translated this book for us and provided us such beautiful purports, we can gain an understanding how we can be peaceful in heart, how we can have everlasting happiness, how we can continue doing our jobs, how we can perform our duties, the day-to-day life, because we cannot keep away from it. We want to live this life to the fullest, and these are the guidelines how we should live our life. So let's go to verse number 20. And for my dear friends, those of you who are just joining, we are reading chapter 3. We are on verse number 20, and we are reading Sanskrit verses followed by English translation. Please join us. Text 20. कर्मण्येव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादय लोकसंग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यान् कर्तुम् अर्हसि. Translation. Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. So dear friends, we know Janak is father of Sita Devi. महाराज जनक सीता देवी के फादर थे. तो भगवान ने जनक का एग्जाम्पल लिया है कि कैसे जो जनक राजा थे उन्होंने अपनी ड्यूटीज परफॉर्म करके भी अपनी कॉन्शियसनेस कितनी परफेक्ट रखी. सो टेक्स्ट 20 and 21 are about that. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. I think I missed reading the Sanskrit of text 21, so let me read it. यद्याचरति श्रेष्ठस्तत्तदेवतरो जना स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So text 22. न मे पार्थस्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किंचन नानावाप्तम् अवाप्तव्यं वर्त एव च कर्मणि. Translation. O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me within all three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. अब भगवान क्या बोल रहे हैं? So Bhagwan is right now explaining to Arjun. First he explained to him how one should not be attached to the result of his activities, as that's the main cause of grief and lamentation eventually. And then he explained to Arjun that how the different actions which are being performed, they can be done in proper consciousness, because in that case no separate sacrifices are needed for perfection of life. And then he gave an example of King Janak. And then he said, he also identified whatever actions great men perform, common men follow. अब text 22 में उन्होंने बोला, खुद का example दिया. He is talking about himself. He is saying, even Krishna is engaged in prescribed duties, though nothing is needed for his Bhagwan himself. He doesn't need to do anything. But he never stops from himself performing the duties, because whatever great men perform, the other common men follow. Text 23. Yadi hi aham na varteyam jatu karmanyatandrita mama vattar manur vartante manushya partha sarvasha. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. So that's what Krishna is saying. Even Bhagwan performs his duties because common men follow whatever great men do. So Krishna never fails to engage in carefully performing his duties. And why does he call Arjun Parth? Please comment if anyone of you know. We talked about it. Krishna and Arjun have addressed each other by certain names. If you know why Krishna has called Arjun Parth, please comment it there. Text 24. Utsiye deyuri me loka na kuryam karma chedaham sankarshya cha kartasham upahanyam ima praja. Translation: if I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put into ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So सभी लोगों में सुख शांति के लिए खुद भगवान भी अपनी ड्यूटीज कभी नहीं छोड़ते हैं, वो भी हमेशा अपनी ड्यूटीज में एंगेज रहते हैं. इसलिए सभी लिविंग एंटिटीज को कभी भी अपनी ड्यूटीज गिव अप नहीं करनी चाहिए. बट डिफरेंस ये है, इस चैप्टर में ये बताया जा रहा है कि जब हम अपनी ड्यूटीज करते हैं तो दे कैन बी इन द कैटेगरी ऑफ कर्मास और कर्मयोगा. एंड कर्मयोगा इज द वे टू गो. कर्मयोगा मीनिंग actions in Krishna consciousness. So, text 25. Sakta karmana vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha shaktas chikirshur loka sangraham. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to the results, the learned may similarly act but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. So, dear friends, at this moment of this chapter, we have covered so many points, right? For those of you who have been attentively listening, please comment there what is the difference between karma and karma yoga. I would love to read that after the class. Please mention in few words what do you understand by karma and how is it different than karma yoga. Text 26. Na buddhi bhedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshet sarva karmani vidanyukta samacharan. Translation. Now, Bhagwan is saying something very, very important to Arjun. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So few things are clear from this verse. Number one, Krishna consciousness is a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while. We can take baby steps. We can ask for help. We can pray for help. And with the help of devotees, gradually we can advance on the spiritual path. Secondly, one should never be discouraged, from whatever they are doing. But gradually we can mentor them, we can encourage them on this spiritual path. Because, पिछले chapter में what did Bhagwan share? There is no loss on this path of bhakti. Wherever you leave, you start from there. Let us say for some reason, someone made some spiritual advancement and they have to leave the body for some reason. Then in their next life, they will start from where they left off. This is the great glory of this path of bhakti. Text 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti amanyate. Translation. The spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So भगवान ने अर्जुन को रिमाइंड कराया कि जो भी इमोशंस और फीलिंग्स अर्जुन इज गोइंग थ्रू, राइट, अर्जुन इज गोइंग थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ emotions and feelings for his loved ones who he is going to fight against, भगवान ने याद दिलाया कि under the influence of false ego, we think that we are the doer of activities, but actually it is carried out by three modes of material nature. And from all different classes, everybody has been attending. What do we understand by three modes of material nature? They are mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, right? So under the influence of these modes of nature, and with having false ego within us, it makes us think that I am doing things, I am the controller, I run the show. But actually we will learn eventually in chapter 18 that actually there are 5 factors. There are 5 factors for anything, for any action. There are 5 reasons behind it. So I will leave it as a suspense for all of you what these 5 things are. It's not just us when certain things happen. So spirit soul should not be bewildered with such thoughts. Text 28. Tattvavittu mahabaho gun karma vibhagayo gunaguneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. What is the translation of this verse 28? One who is in knowledge of absolute truth, almighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work in fruitive results. So Bhagwan had identified 2 types of categories of people, transcendentalists and speculators, right? One is a way of living in devotion, one lives a life working in fruitive activities. So Bhagwan is saying, one who is in knowledge, such knowledge about absolute truth, almighty armed, he does not engage himself in sense and sense gratification. भगवान ने अर्जुन को एक और नाम से बुलाया भी, महाबाहो. It means mighty armed, because Arjun was a valiant warrior. So now let's go to text number 29. Prakritir guna samuddhaha sajjante guna karmashu tan kritsana vido mandan Krishna vinna vichalaye. Translation. Bhagwan says, bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in what? Material activities, and they become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So Bhagwan is telling here, it is due to our lack of knowledge, it is due to our ignorance. We think that I am running the show. It is our false ego. And all this is happening under the influence of Maya, under the modes of material nature. That this ignorance comes on us. And we totally engage in material activities with expectations. We no longer think that I am receiving all these gifts. Let me be first thankful for everything I have in my life, and let me consider first making some kind of sacrifice or making some kind of offering to those who I am receiving these from. So that mindset is not there. And then what happens? This is not a wise way of thinking, Bhagwan is saying. And these kind of duties are inferior due to lack of knowledge. Text 30. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasyadyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jwaraha. So what did Krishna say here to Arjun? Therefore, O Arjun, surrendering all your work unto me with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. So you see here at this point, after Krishna has told Arjun what is karma, what is karmyo, okay, how under the influence of Maya or three modes of nature, one gets totally bewildered and thinks he is the doer, and he loses his intelligence. And then he has also identified that what is the transcendental knowledge, what is the right way of not thinking that I am the proprietor of everything, what is the right approach for the perfect consciousness. And then he is identifying to Arjun that how he can surrender to Krishna here. See, throughout Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan is giving Arjun this transcendental knowledge of how Arjun can understand his bewilderment and confusion, and how surrender or Sharanagati is going to help him come to a point where he becomes fearless, fearless, thinking about the outcome of the battle, because there are many reasons Bhagavan has told Arjun. So he is telling Arjun here that don't keep any thinking you are the proprietor of anything, and you should be free from lethargy, you should be in complete knowledge with no desires for any kind of profit, and just fight. Do your duty, your occupational duty, and do it for pleasure of Krishna. And that's how you will be in appropriate consciousness. And from these kind of teachings, from these teachings of Gita, we get lessons for our life. We can understand how we can apply it to our life. Text 31. Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manava shraddhavanto anusuyanto muchyante te api karmabhi. I have a little, my throat is doing not so well, so kindly excuse me. So the translation is, those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Now this is so assuring to hear from Bhagavan how we can avoid getting bondage to the fruitive actions. We all have experience, we do all kind of deeds, but it's so hard not to be attached to the results of the work. But Bhagavan is saying the people who perform their duties and follow his instructions with faith, okay, and without envy. Without envy means without having such anarthas in your heart that we are the doers, we are the controllers. Why does that person have more? Why don't I have that much? There should be no envy. That's how we become free of all kind of inauspicious things in our heart and mind. And that's how we can take Sharanagati of Bhagavan. That's how we can become free of miseries of our life. The miseries of our life, they come through three ways, right? They come through mind, they come through other living entities, and they come through natural disasters. So here we are talking about fruitive actions which cause bondage, and Bhagavan is saying how we can be free from that. Text 32. Ye tvaetad abhyasyanto, ye tvaetad abhyasuyanto nanutishtanti me matam sarvagyana vimudam stan viddhi nashtan achetasa. Correct. Translation: but those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So Bhagavan ne ye bhi bol diya, how we can make our life perfect. Look at that. We have the secret formula of perfection of life here. People who are envious and they don't pay attention to these teachings. Why would someone do that? Sometimes people have envy in their heart and they say, I am superior, I don't need all these teachings. Don't tell me how to live my life. And they disregard these teachings. And they don't want to follow it regularly. Then Bhagavan says, they are considered to be bereft of knowledge. They will be the biggest fools, and they are ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Why would someone want to do that? Don't we want to make our life perfect? Don't we want to be saved from the biggest dangers of our existence? The cycle of birth, old age, death, disease. Why do we want to stay entangled in that after getting this knowledge? We may not be perfect, but with some help from a genuine guru, from shastras, from loving devotees, from beautiful books, from wonderful prasadam, we have so many resources to stay so happy in all the fasting and the festivals. And we can get to the perfection of life, which is to go back to Krishna. So text number 33. Sadarsham chestate swasya prakritir jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nirgraha kim karishyati. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from three modes. What can repression accomplish? So अपने अंदर कुछ भी दबाने की जरूरत नहीं है, and कुछ pretend करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. Just take this knowledge as it is and follow करिए, उसको follow करिए, उसको समझिए, अपनी intelligence use करिए, and devotees के साथ let your faith grow. Okay, devotees are there to help always. The Vaishnavas are there. You know that the blessings of God flow through the blessings of devotees. Let us approach the genuine devotees and serve them with humility, and certainly the blessings of God will flow through them. Text 34. Indriyasyarthe ragdvesho vyavasthito tayorna vashmagaccheto tayorna vasham agachet tahi asya paripanthina. Translation. Friends, we are on verse number 34. Those of you who joined much later, we are reading Bhagavad Gita as it is by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This is Bhagavad Gita Jayanti month. This year it is being observed on the day Christmas is, that is 25th December. And Gita Jayanti is that time of the year we observe when Lord Krishna spoke Gita teachings to Arjun in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna gave these teachings to help Arjun overcome his grief and confusion not to fight against his relatives. Krishna reminded him to perform his duties in Krishna consciousness, which is for pleasure of Bhagavan. And in this process of reading these teachings, we are all having the benefit to understand and apply these teachings in our life, because day to day we go through battlefields in our hearts and our minds, and we need some kind of direction. So we need these teachings and we can greatly benefit from it. So I have just read verse number 34. Let's see the English translation of this verse. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion, because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Our acharyas have explained how we can make spiritual advancement. Certain principles have to be followed, and how we have to avoid certain impediments which can be detrimental for our spiritual advancement. And Bhagavan is himself saying here, we should follow regulative principles in our life. And he says that these principles are there to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to sense and their objects. And we should not come under their control, because they can block our spiritual advancement. Text 35. Shreyan swadharmo viguna, Shreyan swadharmo viguna, Pardharmat svanutishthātat, Swadharme nidhanam shreya, Paradharmo bhayavaha. Translation. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Text 36. Arjuna Vacha. So at this point, Krishna has given a lot of tips and beautiful teachings to Arjun, and now Arjun again speaks. Arjuna Vacha. Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha anichannapi vashneya baladiva niyojita. Translation of this shloka is, Arjun said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So we just read, Bhagwan has said that one should not be a thief. We should try to develop attitude of gratitude. We should be thankful for all the gifts we receive. And so in this way, we will learn to identify how we can avoid getting attached to the results of our actions, not to live a life of purely sense enjoyment, but to do our actions for the pleasure of the Lord, so that we don't live a sinful life. But then Arjuna asks, but why does one do sinful acts, even though unwillingly, as if engaged by a force? लोगों से फिर भी पाप क्यों होते हैं? इस तरह की sinful life क्यों होती है? अर्जुन समझना चाहता है. So text 37, Bhagwan says, Shri Bhagavan uvacha Kamesha Krodesha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyainam Iha Varinam. Now these verses which I am going to read, further 3 verses, they are very, very important to understand. So dear friends, please listen to it carefully. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So Bhagwan has just now shared with Arjun, because Arjun asked, why is man impelled to commit a sinful life? Why should someone perform sins even as if they, they're being under some kind of force? So Bhagwan identifies, Bhagwan कह रहे हैं ये सब lust के कारण होता है. Lust is the cause, Arjun, which is born of contact with material mode of passion. Earlier he said, under the 3 modes of nature, one gets entangled into performing actions, right, which could give sinful results. And here he is saying it is under the mode of passion that man becomes lusty. And then what happens, when there is lust, it results in anger. Lust is not necessarily due to lust due to physical level. Lust is also defined or described as attachment for things, the tendency to lord over things, that this is mine, I need to have it. So it is eventually the root cause of wrath or anger, and then which is, he says, is all devouring sinful enemy in this world. So my dear friends, once we understand how this lust develops, how the anger develops in our life, then we will be able to take control of it. We will be able to do something about it. Bhagwan has already identified the path of self-realization, the path of bhakti, the path to peace, the path to happiness. So once, I think Arjun has a great question here, that when one, why should one be performing sinful deeds as if there is some force making him do it? And Bhagwan replied that it is due to attachment to the things that this happens, that one eventually gets really angry. And you know what? It's very important to understand, if we want to cultivate love for Lord, if we want to serve Krishna with love, if we want to lovingly serve our beloved Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Shri Radha Damodar, then we need to know what's the difference between love and lust. Because if we have lust or such anarthas in our heart, there is no room for love. And love is the way to go. So we will find acharyas, our acharyas have written or provided a lot of teachings on how we can transform lust to love. Because it's with love, everything is possible. We can make great spiritual advancement only with love. So, text number 38. Dhumena vriyate vanir yathaadarsho malechana yathaadarsho malena cha yatholbena vrito garbhas tathatanedam avartam. Translation: as fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of lust. भगवान ने बोला, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है अर्जुन, that living entity is covered by lust. We all have desires. So it's apparent that lust will be there because when we have desire, we do certain actions to fulfill those desires, and there is a high tendency to develop attachment to the things due to the lack of this transcendental knowledge. And if we have attachment, then it's very likely, based on the teachings, actually the lust will develop, and lust will eventually cause anger and further fall down of the living entity, which is the cause of sinful way of living. And Bhagavan gives an example, just like fire is covered by smoke, mirror is covered by dust, and embryo is covered by womb, living entity is covered by different degrees of this lust. Text 39. Avritam jnanametena jnanino nityavairana kamarupena kaunteya dushpurenanalena cha. That was a big word in Sanskrit. Translation: thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So my dear friends, here we see in this specific section of Bhagwan's teachings why lust is not good. Bhagwan is saying lust is never satisfied and it burns like fire. And the wise living entity's pure consciousness, it is covered by the eternal enemy in form of lust. And this gives us a very important reason why we should take to the path of Bhakti Yoga, because that will help us understand and transform this lust to love. Because it is when we serve, we develop all kind of divine qualities which will be covered eventually in Bhagavad Gita. It is when we serve the Vaishnavas, it is when we serve Krishna, is when living entity develop the divine qualities and they make spiritual advancement. Otherwise, they are always entangled with these different anarthas or weaknesses in the heart, and some of them are lust, anger, greed, envy. And it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that these are the roadways to hell. So why would someone stay entangled in it, right? We should use our intelligence and try to get out of it. And it is not at all impossible. It is very much possible if we take help of the resources like teachings of our acharyas, with the help of Vaishnavas, with the help of Prabhupada's books, right? We can certainly do that. Text number 40. Friends, there are 42 verses in this chapter. We have reached last 3 verses, and I really appreciate those of you who are going through this recitation. I hope all of us have something we are learning from this recitation, and just be there for 3 more verses. Text 40. Indriyani manor buddhir asyadhisthanamuchyate etar vimohasyatesh etar vimohayatesha jnanam avritya dehinam. Translation: The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of living entity and bewilders him. So Bhagavan is giving this knowledge to Arjun. Why? Because Arjun asked, why is a living entity forced to commit sins or sinful life? And sins is also a category of karmas, right? As long as we are not doing our action in bhakti, we are performing actions which are called karmas. We are attached to the results. And that's a sinful way of living as explained in this chapter. So that is why we need to understand what are these actions we do in day-to-day life while performing our duties, and then how we can dovetail it to please Krishna so that it's not sinful anymore, and so that we can achieve the purpose of life. We can please Krishna and we can be peaceful and happy. But here Krishna is saying that senses, mind and intelligence, these are the places the lust resides. And it covers our real knowledge. So, and what happens when our real knowledge is covered? We'll have anarthas in our heart, right? And there are impediments in our spiritual advancement. And we will stay bewildered. Text 41. Tasmat tvam indriyani dao niyamya bharatarshapha papapmanam prajahi enam jnana vijnana nashanam. Translation: Therefore, O Arjun, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So Bhagavan has talked about envy, he has talked about lust, and there are many more anarthas in our heart and mind, and we should live a regulated life to be able to control this sinful way of living, because it destroys our knowledge and self-realization. Such a beautiful thing Bhagavan has shared. Bhagavan has given this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge we can benefit from. Text 42. Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya paramana manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhe paratastusha. Translation: The working senses are superior to the dull matter, mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is still higher than the mind, and his soul is even higher than the intelligence. So Bhagavan has said here, explain that what is the hierarchy, right? So above dull, so what basically happens is how the soul gets bewildered due to anarthas and eventually loses intelligence and falls down into the material pool. This cycle has been explained. So when we have anarthas, right, and then we get attached to things, and then we get angry, we then lose our intelligence, and then bewilderment happens, and intelligence is lost, and we go to the sinful way of living. So we should avoid such things, and it is only possible when we engage in serving Krishna. How do you serve Krishna? You can serve Krishna by performing our occupational duties, but we do it for pleasure of Krishna. And how do you do that? Perform your duties for pleasure? The results which we get from performing our duties, we should not become attached to it. Rather, part of it, we should make an offering to Krishna, or for purpose of spreading of Krishna consciousness. Last verse, text 43. Evam buddhe param buddhva sansattabhyatmana matmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Dear friends, this is the last verse and I am reading the translation. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjun, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. सो भगवान ने इस लास्ट वर्स में एम्फसाइज किया, गॉड हैज एम्फसाइज, कृष्णा हैज एम्फसाइज दैट दिस इज हाउ वी कैन ट्रांसफॉर्म the lust in our hearts to love for Krishna and all living entities is by realizing that we are above, we are transcendental to all these material senses, mind and intelligence, and we should try to steady our mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, means by following the principles of Krishna consciousness, by engaging in bhakti, by taking to the path of bhakti yoga. And where do we find the path of bhakti yoga? Well, Bhagavad Gita is the book of transcendental knowledge, and this is the book, this is our resource. These are the words of our Acharya, these are the words of Krishna, and this is the resource which will help us do that. So we can begin by recitation and by reading of Bhagavad Gita. And we know from Srimad Bhagavatam that how do we engage in bhakti? We engage in bhakti, it begins by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So we can engage in hearing of Krishna Katha, of chanting of Krishna Katha or the holy names, and by remembering the God. So in these current Kali Age times, as I shared before, we all have short lives, right? We have very less intelligence, and people don't have that much memory. So what is the best thing recommended in this Kali Age times? The best thing recommended is chanting of the holy names, Kirtanam, because when we chant the holy names, we are directly connecting with Krishna, and we are directly connecting with God. We are directly connecting to the divine, and when we do that, our purification starts happening. Our hearts get purified, our senses get purified, and it all begins by chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So dear friends, this was chapter 3. I hope all are getting benefited by recitation of these chapters. Next time we are going to do chapter 4, okay? And the title of chapter 4 is the Transcendental Knowledge. Again, Bhagavan has given such beautiful knowledge in all these chapters, and we can take our time to absorb it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll try to answer your questions. And Jiva Tattva Prabhu is going to go into depth in this chapter, okay? Later today, he's going to speak on the teachings of this chapter in depth, and you can watch that for your benefit and apply the teachings in your life. Have a beautiful day in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.